Hello. So I know when I first started scoring cards at Cardscore.com, it was helpful to take a look at a few examples, and so that's what we're getting ready to do. So here I am at the Welcome to Cardscore Splash page. I've got this going on the app on an iPad, and I'm going to go to Score Cards. And it brings up a couple options. I like the grid view, so I'm going to flip over to the grid view, and here we get a couple examples of cards that we can take a look at. So I'm going to start with that 2003 LeBron James. That is a good looking card, but what we can do is zoom in to take a closer view. So I start with the corners, and what I'll do is zoom in all the way in and start with one of the corners here, and work my way around. Okay, so that's a sharp looking corner. Looks like there's some little thing going on there in the corner. So not a perfect corner, but not bad either. And scrolling up, that looks like a design in the a card. The edge looks pretty good. This top corner doesn't look bad. Scrolling over, this corner also doesn't look bad. Oh, what's that little spot there? We'll come back to that. All right, scrolling back down, this corner's pretty good too. So looking pretty good so far. And what we'll do now is flip the card around. This is the back side of the card. And also zoom in here. Start on one of the corners. That corner looks a little soft. Looks like something's going on there. Got a little hair on the screen there, a little dot. Not sure what that is. We'll come back to that. That edge looked okay. Looks like something's going on that corner as well. You sort of see a shadow of something there. So it doesn't look perfect. Not bad though. That corner doesn't look bad either. That little spot there, I wonder if that's in the scanner. And then the bottom corner here. Oh, is that a ding or something? That does look like something's going on that corner. So the corners aren't perfect. They're not bad either, by no means. I think I'm going to go... I don't know. I'd go higher if it wasn't for that ding that we're looking at right now. I'll go 90 on that. That's still a good looking card. Good looking corners overall. You really have to zoom in to see those imperfections. So I'm clicking on edges now, the second grading option, and scrolling down on edges. I'll start at the bottom here and work around. Edges look good. Yeah, pretty sharp edges all the way around. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I see a dot there. I think that's in the scan though, because I think it's in the same location on the back side of the card. Yeah, those edges look good. So flip the card around. There's the back side. Zoom in, and there's that spot again. About the same location. So I think that's on the scan. So as folks are as you're scanning your cards, and be careful with your wipe down the scanner with like a one of those little cloths that you use to wipe your glasses down with, just to be sure you remove any dust so that your scorers aren't having to make a judgment call. But overall, ooh, almost perfect. I like these edges right up until now. You can sort of see something weird going on right in there. That's too bad. Other than that, the edges look pretty good. So, I mean, if it wasn't for that spot over here, I'd go much higher. I'd go higher. But, I mean, it's not bad either. I mean, that's the only real imperfection that I saw. So I'm going to go 92. Thinking back to like how other grading companies, how I get my cards back from grading companies in terms of like a 9 or something. I would think that would be consistent. All right, centering. Let's see. Centering looks pretty good. I mean, this has got, you can sort of see how that bottom part of the card, that white between the edge and the gold, is thinner there than the top of the card, but not by much. I mean, that's still a good looking card. I'm going to flip it over, and you can sort of see the same thing here. It's almost like the whole card is skewed down in terms of vertical position. Horizontal, it looks pretty good though. Just the front and the back a bit off vertically. Otherwise, a great looking card. So, I mean, if it wasn't for that, again, go higher. 88-ish. Yeah, I think that's consistent with a grade 8. A high grade 8. It looks good. Let me go. I mean, I'm gonna go like 87. All right, and the fourth and final grading criteria is surface. Overall, it looked pretty good. That dot is probably on the scanner. You can sort of see as you zoom in. Sometimes you can see dust particles and hairs almost. But overall, this card is in pretty good condition. I don't see any smudges or anything that would look like it'd be left over by a fingerprint or anything weird like that. And flipping the card over, looks pretty good on this. Oh, a little spot right in there. That's weird. That does not look like dust. That looks like it's on the card, unfortunately. And a little something weird going on there too. There you get an example of a little piece of hair or something. I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt that that's on the scanner, but that doesn't look like it's on the scanner. Usually dust particles show up white, and unfortunately a little something there too. And in there, a little piece of hair right there. And another little speck right here. So it does look like there's some imperfections on the back of the card here. So I mean, overall it looks pretty good. You have to look pretty close to be able to see that. I'm gonna go 93-ish, I think. Maybe a little bit lower just because of those specks. But overall, a really great looking card. I'm gonna hit confirm. So I've given this card the 4 scores here. You get one more chance to take a look at it before hitting submit score. And there we go. That's our first one. Up next, I'll hit score next card. And we have Fernando. All right. If you did not want to score this card right away, you can hit skip card, or you could close this and you can see the overall number of your options here. But I'm going to go ahead and open up that baseball card. All right. So similar we did before, what I'll do is jump to the corners and immediately zoom on in and start at one of the corners. That is a sharp looking corner. That looks really good. All right. Great example of what a corner should look like. That sort of perfect 90-degree bottom left corner there. Scrolling up, you can sort of get a feel for the edges while you're doing this as well. Some lines there, but that's the design of the card, I think. So yeah, because there's more lines here. Nice looking corner on that top left. Scrolling through that, those edges look good. The top right looks good too. All right, you sort of see a little bit of almost a white line that almost looks like it's part of the card. I think that's part of the scan. Overall, that edge looks good. We'll come back to the edges, and we got that corner there that looks really good as well. All right, we'll flip the card back over, or flip the card over. Oh, wow, this is a 4 or 5. It's a nice card. All right, starting at the corner. A little bit of hair, I think, on that corner there. I'm gonna hope that's on the scanner. But the corner itself looks good. Don't see any white or any damage on it. That corner doesn't quite look like a full 90 degrees. It looks like there's something going on there. And that corner looks really That corner looks really sharp. And that corner, little piece of dust or dirt or something on there. All right. Overall, I really like these corners. I'm gonna go 95 on that. If it wasn't for that little speck of dust going on right there, and that other soft corner there, I would have gone higher. But I'm gonna hit confirm, and then we go to the edges and do the same thing. Zoom in all the way. I really like doing this on the iPad. It works and works well on the phone as well, but I definitely like the larger screen on the iPad. And overall, these edges look pretty good. We had already seen some. We already previewed the edges when we were looking at the corners. These edges look really good. A little something going on there, maybe. Might just be dust. Flip the card over. Zoom all the way in, and I tend to work clockwise all the way around. Yeah, overall these edges look pretty sharp, look pretty good. Is that something there? Maybe a tiny speck. But overall these edges look really good. I'm gonna give it a pretty high score there. Overall 100, maybe more of a 99. Okay, centering. Let's see, just looking at the card, looking at comparing that bit of space to that bit of space. I mean, that looks pretty even. Tough to tell vertically because there's really not a whole lot in the way of landmarks. Does look like the space between that bottom gold line right here is bigger than the space there. So I don't know what that's all about. That does look like it's off-centered horizontally, maybe a bit horizontally. And let's see, we'll flip it over, and yeah, looking at the sort of those curves that touch the edges. That curve between the corner of that bit of white space compared to, come on now, flip. All right, compared to that side, I mean that looks pretty even. Not seeing any vertical shift. Would be hard to tell on this card. There's not a whole lot in terms of landmarks to go by, and horizontally it does look pretty centered. Now this looks a little bit off horizontally, maybe a bit, but overall it's a pretty good looking card. So I'm gonna go 90, 92-ish there. All right, and then the last grading criteria is surface. And overall, as we were previewing the surface earlier, I mean, we got that thing there, but I think that's part of the design of the card. Sort of the marbling effect. Looks like marble to me anyway. But I don't see any, a little bit of dust there probably. That looks part of his helmet. Maybe a little bit of dust here. Got a little hair hanging out there. Again, it's important to dust off your scanner in between cards. All right. I mean, but overall, it looks pretty. It looks pretty good. Oh, let me flip around, just double check the back as well. What is that? Is that a hair or a scratch? I don't think so. I think that's just part of the card. Again, sort of that marble countertop looking design in that black and gray there. Not seeing anything obvious. I mean, a little bit of dust. I wish that was, I don't know, it could be actually part of the card. Again, part of that marble. Okay. But overall, I mean, it looks really good. There's no signs of damage or anything weird going on here, so I'm gonna give him a good score here. I'm thinking like 95. Gonna give him the shadow of doubt that those little bits of whiteness in there are either dust or part of the design of the card. I think it might be the design of the card there. So I'm going to confirm, and overall it's really a nice good looking card, a 95, which is probably going to get into like probably the range of a lower end PSA 10. But good looking card there. And so submitted that score, and it's on to the next card. Okay, so by hitting that X, we can get back to the grid view. I'll get back to Becky Hammond in a minute, but I wanted to give you an example of a Pokemon card, because I definitely had to look up examples of Pokemon cards. I'm not really a game carder, and Pokemon cards are different from other game cards because of those corners. And so rather than the 90-degree sharp edge, what we're looking for there is more of a 90-degree arc, sort of a quarter circle on the edge of the of Pokemon cards, and that looks pretty sharp in terms of a Pokemon curve corner. That edge looks really good. That edge on that corner looks good as well, on the edge of that curve. And so does that one. And moving down, that one looks pretty spot on as well. That's a really good looking card. So we'll flip it around, and often the damage on corners on Pokemon cards is easier to see on the blue back, but I'm not seeing anything there. Not seeing, there's a little something going on there, that edge. I'm not sure what that is. That doesn't look like it's part of the scan. And a little bit of white dot there, but other than that, that corner, that's sort of getting into the edge. That's right on the threshold between the edge and the corner. And that corner looks good. In terms of the four corners, I mean, it's a pretty good looking card. I'm gonna go 95 on that. Now we previewed the edges when we look at the corners, but zooming back in here, the edges on these yellow edges on the front look pretty good. A little spot there. That does not look like dust. And this right edge looks pretty good too. Flip it over, zoom in. Couple little spots there. A little spot there. That looks like dust. We have that thing going on there. And that thing there. But overall, this is a pretty good looking card. What is that? Is that a hair or a line? I hope that's a hair. Sometimes it's really tough having to make these judgment calls in terms of what that is. But overall, this is a good looking card, good looking edge. I'm gonna go 90. Go 91 on that. There's a couple little spots that give me pause, and that's why I'm not going higher. Now centering, it's especially when the Pokemon cards have that yellow border, it's kind of easier to tell. But the space vertically and horizontally look pretty good on this side of the card. And it's also easy to tell when they've got the blue border here on the back. That spacing horizontally, slightly more space, more blue on the left than the right, but not by much. And vertically, that looks pretty good as well. So maybe not perfect, but it's really tough to tell. I think the centering is pretty good on this card. I'm gonna go 95. There we go. All right, and then the surface will be the last part. Surface looked pretty good as we were looking at it. I'm not really seeing any blemishes on it. Okay, and we'll flip the card around. Take a look at this side. A little spot there that looks like dust. Something going on in the Pokemon on the K, top of the K. Again, looks like a little bit of dust there. A couple dust specks that I wish weren't there, but overall it's a pretty good looking card. So I'll go a little bit higher. I think those are dust spots. Okay, so overall a 94. So really nice score on this this Pokemon. So I'm gonna hit submit, and we'll see what's next. All right, so we've got another LeBron rookie. Let's give that a look. All right, so overall, good looking LeBron card. We'll start with the corners again. Zooming down into the corner. A little bit of a soft corner, not the perfect 90 degree that we typically want to see. Was that a spot? Okay. All right. Other corner looks okay. Previewing the top edge, that looks okay too. Looks like that's an okay corner there too. Not quite as. Is that a spot? Or is that a hair again? I think we've seen that same spot in the same place on a couple of these cards. I think that's on this person's scanner. All right, and that corner looks okay. All right, so zooming in all the way, and you can sort of see how here that's not quite a complete 90 degree on that corner. Looks a little soft. This one's much more of a 90 degree there. This one, there's a little something going on in that corner. Doesn't look any bad damage there. The corner looks okay, and this corner looks good as well. So good looking corners, not perfect, not the complete 90 degrees that we've seen in on other cards. I'd go 92 there, so the equivalent of a 9 essentially. All right, edges. So we got a peek at the edges as we're looking at the corners. Not really seeing anything wrong with the edges here. There goes that familiar speck we've seen a couple times. Maybe something going on there where it's not a complete vertical line like we're wanting to see. A little spot there. I'm going to count that when we grade these, when we grade the surface. Same there. But in terms of complete perfect vertical and horizontal lines without any dings or dents, these edges look pretty good. I like them. All right, centering. It's easy to tell, easier to gauge when there's a border. Looking for a white space at the top versus white space in the bottom. Also looking to see if it's crooked. Most of these modern cards don't really have an issue with that. Look at the white space on the left and right edges. Maybe just a slight hair bit more on the right border than the left border, but that's pretty close. Flip the card over, and we're gonna do the same thing on the back side of this card, comparing the top to the bottom. Maybe just a little bit on the top, maybe just a little bit on the left. A little bit more white space on the left border than on the right, but it's pretty close. Overall, pretty good looking centering on this card. I'm gonna go like 92. If it wasn't for, yeah, there's a little bit more space on the top than the bottom. I'll go 92 on that. And then for the surface, we saw some specs. Ooh, see some specs here. Some of this looks like part of the card. Some of it looks like dust, though. I'm pretty sure that's on the scanner right there. Hopefully their card does not pick up some of those dust spots. Oh, but surface looks good. I think it was on the backside top where we saw something going on. And right in there on that top right there. Wow, LeBron looks so young. A little piece of hair there. What is that? That is blurry and fuzzy, and we can't tell what that is. Typically, as you're preparing cards for a card score scan, you want to follow the same sort of protocols or procedures you'd use if you were sending it in to get graded, including wiping it down for any weird dust particles like that. I mean, without that, I would have graded it higher. But it's a pretty good looking surface. You gotta look pretty hard to see that. So I'm gonna go 90, 92 on that. All right, so my overall score is a 93. So a good looking PSA, GMA, SGC, whoever grading card company used, 9 roughly. All right, and then it's on to the next card. Let's take a look at Becky Hammond together. Zooming down onto those are cool shoes. Zooming down onto the corners, I can sort of see a little bit of white on that corner there. Let's see, scrolling back up, that corner looks pretty good. It almost looks like it's pointing up a little bit. This little corner looks spot on. That little white line, I think, between the edge of the card and the sort of template of the scanner, I think that's part of the scan. And a little bit of white on that bottom corner. Going down to, there we go. Got stuck there for a minute. All right, going down to the bottom corner there. Maybe a little bit, but actually looking at this side of the card, it looks like that could be part of the design, maybe? Like part of that hardwood. All right, going to the other corner. Yeah, I mean, there's something going on up there, but it could be part of the design. No, that isn't. Yeah, that's definitely a ding. All right, and you can sort of see another one there on the edge. But we're looking at corners for now, so we'll come back to that. All right, that corner looked okay, and looks like maybe a little bit of ding in that corner there. So, I mean, overall good looking corners, some imperfections. I'll go 88 there in terms of like a high 8. All right, now the edges. Let's see. That bottom edge looks good. This edge looks good. I don't think that's damage. A little hair there. A little bit of dust there probably. Category. But no damage on the front. No dings or dents. Got a little something going on there. Maybe there too. Maybe there too. That left side looks good. The top edge, we saw some stuff going on there. And there. And there. And there. This edge, the right edge looks good though. All right, so a couple dings and dents. I'm gonna go 85 on that. Let's see, centering. She looks like she's in the middle. There's no borders on this card to go by. New York Liberty looks straight. So overall, that piece of it looks that looks good. Centering on this side, again, not a whole lot in the way of. I guess you sort of have those concentric circles that go by, where the edge of the circle is here. Edge of the circle is not there, but I'm not sure if that's the scale or not. So that might be a little bit off. It kind of does look like there's more room here than there is here. So maybe there's something to that where vertically there's, at least as we have the card oriented here, vertically looks like there's something something amiss. And maybe a little bit more space here than here. So centering might be a little bit off, but it's pretty close. All right, I guess we'll see the overall score is a 65 before we get to the final scoring criteria, which is surface. As we were looking around, I didn't recall seeing any issues on the surface. No, that all looked okay. Flip the card around. A little spot there. Is that an imperfection in the card itself? Yeah, it kind of looks like it. You can sort of see a pixelated, it means it's part of the card. So you can see some more of that here. It doesn't look like it's in the design of the card. It just looks like something done in printing. I mean, other than those two little minor specks, the surface looks pretty good. I'll go 92 on that. All right, so pretty good looking card. If it wasn't for some of those edge imperfections, I would have gone a little bit higher. Okay, and well, you can see that on at least my grid view in terms of the cards available for me to score. I've got a couple more. I've got another LeBron, got a nice looking Mac Jones to take a look at, and a couple more Becky Harmons to do as well. And so I'll get to those ones here, but definitely wanted to record a couple examples. That's the way that I've been. I've probably done a few hundred Cardscore cards at this point, and I know that's probably just getting started compared to some people who've been grading for months and months by now. But in any case, I know it was helpful for me when I was grading cards to take a look at the scoreboard, which shows the cards that are currently in progress. Being scored at Cardscore.com, and it was helpful to see how others are grading cards, so that you can take a look at that and compare it to what you see, and get a feel for how others are grading. I know that was looking at examples really helped me out when I first got started. So hopefully these few examples help you out as well, and hope you enjoy scoring cards for Cardscore. Thanks.